Are you feeling like a zombie lately? Tired of the same old energy drinks promising the world but delivering the jitters and a crash? Look no further than Sneak Energy, your secret weapon for all your energy needs. With all natural ingredients, Sneak will give you all the energy you need to boost through your day without feeling like a lab rat on caffeine. Don't believe us? Try it yourself and see what a difference it can make to your routine. So what are you waiting for? Hit the link in the description and pick up your Sneak Starter Pack today. Now enjoy the clip. I've got to say, waking up this morning, I'm still massively in shock about, I think it says season over on the thumbnail. Look, there's a lot of United fans saying that. I don't personally agree with that. I agree with Eric Ten Hag that you have to have a squad. I think that this season was always going to go this way. We were just hoping it wouldn't, in the sense that we've played a ridiculous amount of games and picking up injuries in March, April, May was inevitable. It was always going to happen. The volume of them in the last few days is heartbreaking. You know, Rashford, Martinez and Varane. But we were also architects of our own downfall last night. I think that one of the things I do want to talk about is that the mentality in that team when you lose a couple of players is ridiculous. The difference between Varane in that back line and no Varane in that back line, there's no leadership, there's no organisation. We were very unlucky on a couple of the goals, but some of these players who talk a big game have got to start delivering now, because we haven't got Varane and Martinez. So it's all right sitting there and putting out your little comments through your agents and stuff like that. Now is the time to deliver. If you're good enough to play for Manchester United, you've got to bloody deliver. And the obvious answer is that a lot of people are worried because they don't think that they are good enough. Well, these players are now going to get game time. Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Malacia, Scott McTominay. These players are going to be very important for us. Our season rests on them. So a little less conversation, a little bit more action, please. Because yesterday was just Liverpool away again. It was just Brentford and Brighton again. It was just crap. 2-0 up. I think Ten Hag makes massive mistakes in the subs, but ultimately it's Manchester United at Old Trafford, 2-0 up in a European night game, attacking the Stretford end, and it was terrible. It was an absolutely terrible second half. The Martinez injury, lots of people straight away after the game and late in the game were talking about Achilles. Oh, I've seen that before. He's ruptured his Achilles tendon, this, that and the other. I thought at the time he grabbed the front of his foot. And I said it at the time, metatarsal. Metatarsal is what David Beckham had years ago for the 2002 World Cup. And I think Rooney had it in 2006. It's an injury we don't really hear about. We got a real glut of them in the early noughties, and we don't really hear about it anymore. And basically a metatarsal is just a bone in your foot. If you feel your foot from the ankle on the top down to your toes, there's about 4 or 5 bones there, metatarsals. I think one of those is something's gone wrong on the front of his foot. This is good and bad news. Normally, you know, it's a bone in your foot. You use your foot to kick. You've got to let it heal properly. It can take 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6, not 46. But if he'd ruptured his Achilles tendon, he would be potentially out for months. So there is potentially a positive there. We will find out today. It was so innocuous. And what I mean by that is he's literally just done a body swerve and his foot's done something. I mean, if you can get injured like that, anybody can get injured at any time. It's just completely and utterly random. I do this 100 times a game movement and something's gone wrong. So with Martinez, I think that, you know, he's out and he's probably out for most of the season now. We might get him back in late May, mid-May. Hopefully we do, but I think he's going to be out for a while. One thing I would say is that he is he's the butcher, isn't he? So if there's any chance that he can get back soon, he will be back soon. But I think, obviously, it's a little bit like any injury. It doesn't matter how strong-willed you are mentally, you have to let your body heal. So, look, it's I can't believe it. I can't believe that one. And he's going to be a huge loss. And obviously Luke Shaw's out as well, so we can't do the left-sided centre-back thing that works quite well with Varane. With Varane, Ten Hag said that this is an issue he's had for the last couple of weeks. He mentioned it at half-time. It's an ankle injury. We'll have to wait and see. That sounds a little bit more positive. It sounds to me like it's a problem he's had for a couple of weeks. And he's played with it. They've had to rest him a little bit. Can he get through to the end of the season and have an operation? Does he need an operation now? Is it just a strain? I mean, the Martinez one I'm more concerned about, and I think that's going to be long term. The Varane one, we might have a chance that he might be okay for next week. On the other hand, he might have to have an operation, in which case he's out for the season. On the other hand, it could be an injury that keeps him out for a few weeks. So we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with Varane. But it's just ridiculously unlucky, isn't it? And I don't think that. I think it has a huge impact on Manchester United's season. You go from Varane and Martinez to Lindelof and Maguire. I said this the other night. What's the difference between Varane and Martinez and Lindelof and Maguire? Varane and Martinez is French Riviera, lovely glass of wine, looking out on blue skies and a beautiful harbour, lovely music playing, everyone's walking around in, designer clothes. It is the peak. I feel that Maguire and Lindelof, you're driving around an undesirable area in England, everyone's in their front garden, listening to Three Lions with their vest on, supping on cans of Carling. It's a contrast. It doesn't mean that can't be good. I've been in many a front garden party drinking Carling, and it can be really good, but it ain't the quality of what you get with Martinez and Varane, and it's a drop off. You can say that's negative. You can see it as a positive. It's a drop off. It is a drop off. Is it a drop off enough that our season's over? No. Does it make it ridiculously hard to win the FA Cup now, the Europa League now, and get top four? Yeah, I think it does, because I think we're more vulnerable. Defensively, I think we're going to have to play differently. Defensively, we're not as good. Defensively, I don't think we're as progressive. I think Casemiro has to sit a lot deeper than he has done. I think we become more of a counter-attacking side, which is such a shame, because yesterday, I think we were, for the first 25 minutes, we're a really progressive possession-based side. Pace a bit for cheap, get a striker and a star centre-back, play a diamond with 6, Casemiro, Bruno, Eriksen, Sabitzer, next season is Felix. Well, I don't know about that, we'll talk about that in a minute. But look, there was something, I suppose this sort of... what do you think about Ricky's comment, says Kira, that we'll be fine with Magaluf? Well, Ricky doesn't... Ricky has his own opinions, as we know. He never really seems to champion Martinez and Varane, and always seemed to be quite happy with Magaluf, Maguire and Lindelof. But I think there was two things that sort of caught me yesterday, and I'm not going to use my own words because it is a news show. So Peter Schmeichel said this about Harry Maguire. He's the club captain, so when you wear the armband, you expect some leadership as well, and he didn't give that today. Varane does that all the time. Well, look, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think ex-players, you can take it or leave it. Sometimes they're accurate, sometimes they're not. But I said that after the game yesterday. Look, I don't blame Harry Maguire for the own goal. I think he could have attacked the second goal better, and I think his positioning on this... I think he could have attacked the first goal better, and I think the second goal... If you watch both goals back... on both crosses that come in, we're just very static. We're not very well organised. Somebody should be organising the offside line. Malacia should never be in that position. Somebody should be shouting, "Get out!" I've played pub football. I've played bloody training on a Thursday night, and when you've got an organiser at the back, Malacia never ends up there, because you're actually saying, "Get out, get out." Now, if you can see somebody saying, "Get out," which means get out and keep the line, and then Malacia doesn't do it, fine. But I don't see that. And I think that's what Schmeichel's talking and everyone else is talking about. We're 2-0 up at half-time. It's 2-2 at the end of the game. Yes, we're unlucky, but we're inviting the pressure. There's no organisation and there's no atmosphere in that team in the second half. It was flat. It was really flat. There was no confidence. It was flat. The stadium sensed it. The players sensed it. When Bruno came off, it got worse. There's no organisation. There's no leadership. And I think, you know what? There's a guy who wants the armband on every time he comes on. He wants to lift the trophies. He tells us how good he is. You've got an opportunity there that you've been waiting for all season. Rafael Varane has gone off injured in a huge game at half-time. This is your moment. This is your moment to come on and prove everybody that you can do that job. And he didn't. He didn't prove that he's a leader. He didn't prove that he's good enough to do that job. I don't think he played dreadfully, but what an opportunity. How many people... these opportunities present themselves and they grab it. We should have been saying at the end of the game, I tell you what, we lost Varane, but Maguire came on and did really well. You can see him organising the back line. He's winning everything. He's organising the team. We go and win 3-0. We might be all right. Give Varane a bit of a rest. We didn't. We didn't do that. And I don't care whether you think Maguire's rubbish, whether you think he's brilliant. He is a bit divisive. But ultimately, there was no leadership in the second half, and that's his job. We've seen him come on for 2 minutes and take the armband off Bruno. We've seen him at half-time yesterday. There's got to be some bloody leadership on that pitch, and he doesn't do it. I think he's happier hiding behind an article in the Mirror, saying how good he is, because he's got to deliver. And I tell you what, This is not a negative piece about Maguire or Lindelof or anybody else. We need them. They've got to step up. There is absolutely no positive if they keep playing like they did last night. We need these players to step up and deliver, because what we saw in the second half was mentality. It's mentality again. The same old players bottling it. And there's another example as well. I'm sorry, a lot of people applauded the Sevilla players for lifting Martinez off and taking him off the pitch. That's bullshit. I've played the game. That's fake friends. That's fake being nice. That is them taking a player off the pitch so they can get on with the game because it's 2-1. They've just got one goal and they want to go and get the second goal. That's nonsense. That's an absolute nonsense that was allowed to happen. And I'm telling you what, I don't need to go to Roy Keane. I don't think Bruno Fernandes lets that happen. You'd be saying, get off our player, leave him alone. He's injured. Put him down. Let the stretcher come on. None of this fake nonsense about you trying to take him off to help him off the pitch. He doesn't need to come off the pitch. We've got stretchers who can come off the pitch. Put him down, leave him alone. Where was any United player doing that? Because their heads had dropped. And I'm not just blaming Maguire for that. The whole team. Casemiro should have been stopping that. Sabitzer should have been... I think Spitz might have gone off at that point. Every United player should be stopping that. I thought that was symbolic of what went on in the second half with United's mentality. It was shambolic. You should never, ever let two players from another team pick up your injured player to take them off when it's 2-1. They're clearly doing it because they want to get the game on. In a worst case scenario, what if he had done his Achilles tendon or his knee? Picking him up like that could be making it worse. We should have been all over that. But you know why we weren't all over that? You watch the players, they've all got their hands on their heads. They're all putting, this is what I mean. Fundamentally, we need to be in that transfer market this summer because we've got too many weak mentality players. When the going gets rough, we down our tools and start crying. I mean, it doesn't even rhyme.